Romeo has another question. I think this is great because there are a lot of people out there that have some philosophical or other
Right.
reasons to be avoiding a lot of animal-based protein. He's asking, what about baked beans and lima beans, chickpeas, lentils?
So you can absolutely do that. Just keep in mind the metabolic effects. And we don't have time probably to talk about it now, but when you get your protein from those lower quality plant-based, you need about 35 to 40 roughly percent more. I'll give you an example of quinoa. So you'll need about 6 cups of quinoa to equal 1 3-ounce chicken breast when you're looking at the amino acid content. And so that is a really good place to add in branched chain amino acids. I definitely do not recommend getting the majority of your protein from plants. It's not bioavailable. It's not as bioavailable. And the metabolic consequences of the caloric and carbohydrate load are devastating.
Agreed. And Romeo, and to everyone else out there, I've said this for years, the sickest people I see are often vegetarians.
Same. I actually couldn't agree with you more.
They don't know how to do it right. It's not that you can't do it right, but you really have to dial down the science if
Yeah.
you're going to be a vegetarian to feed your body in a net balanced, net positive, balanced way, as opposed to a net negative where you're in a
Right.
catabolic state and wearing down the body, wearing down the body, wearing down.
Absolutely. And it's the single worst piece of advice to go vegan or vegetarian as you age for simply the reasons that I've stated. It's just the consequences are devastating. So if an individual is doing it for an ethical reason, I completely understand. If they are doing it for an environmental issue, I would absolutely rethink it because the evidence doesn't support it. So there are other, reasons why I would really reconsider animal-based proteins.
Do you have patients who have been compliant with your recommendations, who are aging gracefully by your definition, who are vegetarians?
I'd have to really think about it.
Okay, thank you. That's it right there. You see, Romeo,
Yeah.
I put her on the spot. I put her on the spot because this is a world-class scientist on muscle aging and maintaining vitality. And Romeo, I'm not on you, man. I'm just using your question as the example to come from. It's really difficult to age gracefully if you're completely plant-based. It's extremely difficult.
Yeah. And then you have to think, what about the other nutrients? And, we think about bone and osteoporosis, but, bone is made from protein. So those individuals that are more vegetarian have the lowest bone density. They're typically smaller. They are much more likely to break a hip or fall. So these are things that their muscle mass is lower, and we know that muscle mass is directly linked to survivability. So there's tons of reasons why individuals should reconsider high quality protein.
I agree with you completely. And if someone is strong about wanting to be a vegetarian, I honor that and say, you're just going to have to do your work, a
Yeah.
lot more work to maintain your health. Yeah.
I would say in clinical practice that I've noticed there's a broccoli quota. So when you tell individuals who, according to that NHANES data, that are already eating 70%, plant-based carbohydrates to, if anyone were to give the recommendation to go more plant-based, they're going to be like, I've already had my 5 cups of broccoli. They're going to eat more pizza or carbohydrates, or I'm just going to eat more rice and beans. And that is just the caloric load in that, or even 3 bananas or whatever you're doing. It's just too much. And then, when you think about metabolic dysregulation, you've got a problem. You can't utilize the substrate for the muscle. Everything spills then back out into the bloodstream. Then you gain weight.